Will Gompertz on digital 95.2 FM and online.
BBC Radio Oxford.
Radio for Oxfordshire.
And in the studio with me is Chris Stockwell from Kingham Lodge, whose garden is open to the public for the next week, and it is full of the most incredible sculptures. And how do you go about choosing who to show?
The initial assembly of sculptors was done by a chap called Brendan Canterbury. And he is himself a sculptor and knows quite a few other local sculptors. And so he got us a group together last time and has helped this time. And then we've added to that some sculptors from elsewhere around the country whose work I've seen at different places. And one or two of them have been quite difficult to track down. There's a pair of raven's wings on show, which are fabulous pieces. Think of the delicacy of feathers.
Yes.
And these feathers are made out of pieces of slate, old roof slates. And they're absolutely beautiful, fluttering in the wind at the moment. Lots of wind.
Plenty of wind, yeah.
And, they're something that we found on a different sculpture exhibition and said to him, would he like to come and show them? And now they're hanging in our pergola, a girl called Jackie Pavlovsky. And works in glass, some figures made out of slumped glass. After a rather beautiful girl who was clearly lying there and had the mould made on top of her, and then the glass has been poured over that. Yeah. This is by one of our local sculptors, Dawn Benson, and it's a sculpture of a seated couple. And we've got 2 or 3 of her bronzes on display and a couple of her garden pieces out in the garden. There are then other lovely bronzes by Andrew Frieden, another local sculptor, by Jessica von Schroeder, another one.
It seems to me to be picking up something of a momentum that you might continue with more regularly.
Well, I don't know that we'll do it more often. I think every 2 years is probably enough. We want new pieces from the sculptors each time. We don't want to show the same sorts of things. So sculptors need time to produce their works, and we want some new sculptors each time as well, so that there are, again, new things for people to see.
Let's keep it fresh.
Yes, keep it fresh. Gardens change all the time, naturally, and having different things to see and therefore displaying them in different places in the garden makes for a different exhibition. And that's part of the fun of it. This is not just like walking into a museum and seeing lots of things in showcases. All these pieces of sculpture are positioned in the garden in the way that people could use them themselves.
And do you do that act of curatorship yourself, or do the artists choose where it goes?
No, I choose where things go because I know the garden well, having designed it, and can find places that are likely to show off that particular piece of sculpture.
And do you ever get yourself in a situation, Chris, where you've chosen a piece of sculpture to go into a certain spot and you think, that's just magical, I got to own that?
Well, 2 pieces stayed behind from last exhibition, and I dare say 1 or 2 will stay behind this time as well. They do really look very good in some situations.
They look splendid. Okay, so Chris, hats off to you. I think this is a really fantastic initiative, and it really is at the highest level as well. People travel miles to go to Yorkshire Sculpture Park when they've got Kingham Lodge just up the road.